What's up, guys? Coach Sil here with Ask Coach Sil, and today we're going to be talking about stretching and mobility. It's a question that is often asked and is very often misunderstood and misinterpreted because of all the information out there online, fitness magazines, and all that stuff. So, mobility is the ability to move your body through space under control. It involves both flexibility as well as stability. So an example would be when you perform a squat, you have to have stability in the hips as well as flexibility in order to get low enough, right? You need flexibility in the ankles, you need flexibility in your hips, and you need the stability in your glute med to drive those knees out. Your adductors need to be engaged as well. So three different types of stretching that we see. We see ballistic stretching, which is basically like a picture a leg swing going back and forth. So you're trying to take your body through a range of motion and just beyond. You see PNF stretching, which is kind of what we do when you think about that lunge stretch where we have the band around our hips. So we get a nice hip stretch and then we squeeze our glutes to activate, to open up those hips, and you contract and relax, contract and relax. And that's great for increasing flexibility. And then we see static stretching, which is when you hold a stretch for a certain amount of time. So I want to talk about when to use these stretches, the benefits of them, and how long you should be stretching for. Now, a lot of you guys don't stretch, I know that for a fact. And if you do stretch, it's definitely not enough. We all want to see results and we all want to move better, but 99.9% of people out there just refuse to work for it. And it is hard work. Like, stretching is boring in my opinion, and it's hard. So with the ballistic stretch, you want to be warmed up before you engage in any kind of ballistic type stretching. And active stretching is great before you start training. You don't generally want to hold a very long stretch before you lift or you train. Because anything over 60 seconds, research has shown that it can decrease power output and strength. So you see sprinters doing a lot of ballistic stretching in their warm-ups. You don't see them holding the stretch for very long before they sprint. And PNF stretches as well. But for a static stretch, those are best after you work out, or if you just have a session where you're just working on your stretches. That's where you want to incorporate the static stretches. And static stretches, the common advice out there is that you should hold a static stretch for 30 seconds to 60 seconds. I don't particularly agree with that. It all depends on the person, it all depends on the situation and on the muscle. So if you're gonna do like a toe stretch for your plantar fasciitis, you can hold a stretch for 30 seconds, that's fine. But if you're gonna wanna really open up your hips, or you wanna do a hamstring stretch, 30 seconds is just not gonna cut it. If you do 30 seconds and you do 5 rounds to accumulate that stretch, that's much better. But some people need to hold stretches to up to 4 to 5 minutes, depending on where they're starting from and how tight they are. A misconception is that holding a stretch for a long period of time is bad for you. It's absolutely not. If you know what you're doing and you're doing it correctly. A static stretch of 2 minutes or longer actually causes physical change in the muscle. It elongates the muscle, and it's long-lasting change. So if you want long-lasting change, you have to hold stretches for a long period of time, and you have to do it consistently every single day. Now, when I say hold a stretch, I don't mean grimacing your teeth and holding that stretch like you're dying. Your stretch should feel uncomfortable, but never painful. You shouldn't be fighting and really working hard to stretch those muscles. It should feel slightly uncomfortable, and you should be able to hold that stretch. The reason we don't stretch for 2 minutes is because we try to push that stretch to the limit, and it feels so uncomfortable that we're never holding it for 2 minutes. So a 2-minute stretch is recommended if you have, for example, a really bad squat and you want to open up your hips, you want to open up those calves because your ankle mobility is complete crap. Then you have to do this for 2 minutes every single day, maybe even a couple of times a day. And when I mean every single day, I mean literally every single day, 7 days a week, no breaks. Now, if we take this prescription and apply it, it'll work, but it may not be sustainable for most people, because who out there is literally going to spend half an hour to an hour a day stretching? Most people will not. So my advice would be, find the biggest sticking points in your body, whether it's your shoulders, your thoracic spine, your hips, your calves, whatever it might be, and focus on that issue and beat it over the head over and over until you crush it. So if we can practice triage on our body and fix one major issue at a time before moving on to the next, I'm not saying you ignore everything, but that your focus should be that biggest issue that you have. And focusing on that every single day would have long-lasting effects. Now, everyone wants quick results, and everybody wants to get into better positions, and we all see people doing the test retest thing, and they're in better positions, and that does work, but it's only for that day. It's not long-lasting. It's not a long-lasting effect, and I'll talk about that later. But when we hold a stretch every day and we don't see results within a week, we say, "Oh, it's stupid. It's not working. It's bullshit. I'm done." It takes almost a month to see any kind of results that we would be happy with. So stretching for 30 days and fixing those hips is what's required, really, or those shoulders, to see that long-lasting effect. Now, if you don't enjoy the process, then you're pretty much wasting your time, because you're not going to be able to maintain it. So find a nice TV show you want to watch while you're stretching. Do something to distract yourself, I guess, and just make it part of your daily routine. And it doesn't have to be half an hour. Like I said, you can choose one muscle group and just focus on that every single day, for less than 10 minutes. And that'll have long-lasting effects and make you move better, make you feel better. It'll alleviate a lot of problems like lower back issues, if you can do that. Now, when we talk about ballistic stretches, short stretches, foam rolling, tissue work, stuff like that, they get a lot of bad rap by certain people in the medical field because they don't have those long-lasting effects. That test retest thing doesn't really work, because you test tomorrow and you won't get the exact same results that you do by testing immediately after holding that stretch for the movement. But they're extremely important, especially if you're training, because if you can get your body to move in a better position for that next hour of your training session, then those stretches and that mobility work has done its job for that day. So you don't want to ignore the PNF, you don't want to ignore the ballistic stretches, you don't want to ignore the banded stretches and the lacrosse ball and all that good stuff that we use, because those are great for putting you into good positions during a competition, during a training session, allowing you to move better, lift heavier weight, reduce the risk of injury. But those static stretches that people ignore, that need to be done at home, that need to be done on a consistent daily basis, those things will have the longest lasting effects. So you gotta be able to couple the ballistic and PNF with the static stretches, and if done at the right times, and if you're consistent and you work hard at it, you will be able to move better and you will be happier with your body as a whole. All right, so get to stretching, keep the questions coming, ask Coach Sil, comment below. Peace.